Namaskar and welcome to another 9 o'clock live. ठीक है. A lot of you have had written to me asking me, let us talk advertising. भाई आप advertising क्यों नहीं बोलते? चलो, let us talk advertising. So, I have done an editorial on the subject, but like my program always says, I have got an expert. What are we going to discuss? You see, in advertising, the bulk of the thing we do is to bring about a social behavioral change. Social behavioral change means you are buying one brand, you say that, nahi, okay, theek hai, let me try the other brand. That is a change, isn't it? There's a behavioral change. That is what advertising tries to get. Achha, when it comes to votes, when it comes to elections, when it comes to electoral strategies, somewhere down the line, ये social behavioral change and all कोई पूछता नहीं है. Nobody is bothered about that. What are people bothered about? People are bothered about भाई ये कास्ट के कितने लोग हैं, वो कास्ट के कितने लोग हैं, इधर ये कास्ट का अगर आदमी को खड़ा किया और वो that's all. That's all. So caste and census tabulation and people who works on census tabulation has replaced what we call as traditional strategy. They've replaced it. So that's what I'm going to talk to. I have an expert with me, and her name is Jayshree Sundar, and you know her. You know her through a famous book, Do Not Forget 2004. She was the person who, I think, this is my personal view, who created one of the finest campaigns, finest advertising campaign for a political party, and that was 2004 Congress ka haath Aam Aadmi ke saath. Brilliant campaign. By the way, same time you had another good campaign, which was India Shining. That too was a fantastic campaign, but her campaign combated that campaign and she won. So winner takes it all. So let's get right into the show. Aaj introduction thoda zyada ho gaya. Let's get right into the show and we'll talk to her right away. Jayshree, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. And I was just telling my audience, sorry, I have to unmute you. Okay, I'm just telling my audience that I believe one of the finest advertising that you created. Amazing advertising. And I do not see those advertising currently. Why, Jayshree? Why don't we see that kind of advertising?
I've spent a lot of time looking at what they're doing this year. There is a lot of work going on, Sujit, but the game changer has been this thing, mobile. Because Indians are consuming 5 hours per day, and Gen Z is consuming around 6 hours per day on the internet, and it's mostly through the phone. So while 970 million people are going to vote this time, it doesn't get bigger than this. There's no bigger target audience in the world. This is Indian political league at its biggest. Okay, so you have a lot of people going out there to vote, but the way the media is getting consumed and ads are getting consumed is very proliferated. So in 2004, it was SMS was there and the website was there, but it was mostly you could get your consumer on television, you could get them on print, newspaper, magazines, you could get them on radio, and you could get them in a village at a village well and wall paintings and all that. A lot of that has changed. It's not that mass media has gone out. A lot of it is happening on mass media, but there's an entire other thing happening on social media. And India is the largest WhatsApp market in the world, and it's the largest YouTube market in the world. So when 2014 was called the Twitter election, okay, and 2019 was called the WhatsApp election, 2024 is being touted as the YouTube election, because a lot of people like yourself, media who are giving a voice, giving a lot of angles to news are on YouTube. Plus, India is full of YouTubers with millions and millions and millions of subscribers. So there's a lot of activity happening there. Ads are coming there. Then ads are coming on Instagram, which is, got reels. Today, attention spans are very low. So reels, shorts, this is where you're going to get the consumer. And then there are the influencers and the micro influencers. So down to the last mohalla, last booth, you may have an influencer who has been who has been paid by a political party. They're all being paid. It's totally okay. But even if a street has come up in the last 5 years or some electricity has come up, they ask these influencers to talk about it. Nothing wrong in it. But I'm saying the whole shape of advertising has changed. So while there are lots of ads on the INC website and the BJP website and their official YouTube channels and things like that, there's a whole other ball game happening. So it's a very complicated communication conundrum going on. That's what's happening.
Let me ask you a very specific question. We'll come to that. We'll come to what you just said. But let me ask you a specific question. You see, when in advertising, we normally look at consumer insights. Our research are based on consumer insight, what the consumer wants and what the consumer needs, or what insight he has on about a particular situation, particular product. Okay. Now that seems to have taken the backseat here. What's really happening now, Jayshree, is it's about numbers. How many, what caste, how much creed, what community, that, etc., etc. Now, has that actually degenerated the advertising standards, the advertising that these current political parties are doing? Has it degenerated, or is it right compared to what you just said right now?
Well, I would say that there is some amount of strategy happening. You may agree or disagree with it, but you means anyone. With the BJP, I find that they have got two big blocks of advertising. One is hitting out at this India gang, okay, which cobbled together 2 years back. And what they're trying to say is that it's a bit of a... Well, I don't know, but
if you allow me, can I play that ad for our audience? Yeah.
Yeah.
ये सब आपके रिश्तेदार हैं?
बिजनेस पार्टनर है जी। ये दीदी बंगाल में बिजनेस संभालती हैं, वो चाचा बिहार में, ये यूपी में, ये मुंबई में और ये चेन्नई में, और इन्होंने हाल ही में खोली है दुकान दिल्ली में। पूरे देश में बिजनेस फैला है जी, सब कमाते हैं और मेरी बात तो खाते हैं।
ये इंडियन चीज है, चाइनीज नहीं।
दूल्हे तो आप ही हो ना?
और कौन होगा जी? देखिए, दादी का दिया हुआ सब कुछ है, सरनेम है, दौलत है, शोहरत है, इज्जत है, मतलब मिल जाएगी शादी के बाद जी।
हेलो, दूल्हा कौन होगा ये डिसाइड नहीं हुआ है अब तक। दूल्हा हम बनेंगे, इज्जत की कोई कमी नहीं है।
ए भाई, तुम तो रहने ही दो, हमारी दुकान इनसे काफी बड़ी है, दूल्हा तो हम ही बनेंगे, है ना पापा?
पापा, पापा।
सब बुर्बक, इसको तो हम बिहार में दूल्हा बना देंगे, लेकिन यहाँ पे दूल्हा हम ही बनेंगे।
ओ काका, सारी शादियाँ क्या आपके ही घर में होगी क्या? और हम क्या यहाँ यूं ही दुकान खोल के बैठे हैं क्या?
ओ भाई, पिछली बार भी किसी दूसरे की बारात में दूल्हा बन गए थे आप, इस बार आपकी दुकान भी आपके नाम से नहीं है।
अरे रुको 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 रुको, इसके बारे में हम बाद में बात करेंगे।
ओ दादा, दूल्हा तो इनके मैनेजर ही बनेगी।
हाँ, दूल्हा तो छोटे बाबा ही बनेंगे।
क्या? It's absolutely right.
One second, why not me?
वही बोल रहा हूँ, हम क्यों नहीं बन सकते? ये दूल्हा नहीं, दूल्हा हम बनेंगे।
आणि माझं काय? मैं बनूंगा दूल्हा।
अरे दूल्हा मैं।
So that was it.
A rather long ad with a lot of hidden messages about dynasty, about all that, and they made caricatures of everybody. But the whole idea is to put in fear that if you vote these guys to power, you will not have a leader. And it's because no leadership candidate has been announced from the India alliance that they have a chance to say all this, that we have a very strong leader. But if you get these guys to power, this is what's going to happen. They're already fighting among themselves. Imagine what will happen if they come to power. This is their message. On further digging, I find there are 4-5 more ads like this. One is that this whole gang has gone to into a house which is under construction,
Yes.
where there's no electricity, there's no lighting, this is falling down, that is falling down, and it's like they can't even build a house together. There's another one of them in a conference room sitting and fighting. So it's the same theme, but they have 4-5 ads of this. Long ads with caricatures of all these people saying that if you get these guys to power, you're going to get a completely unstable government. That is the message. So it's a bit of we have it, but they don't. So that is what it is.
So, Jayshree, I want to ask you, before we get into the Congress part of it, I want to ask you a question. What is the strategy here? You see, the strategy here, I think one is humiliating your competitor, which is Rahul Gandhi. Baki was there as a prop. Secondly, what are they trying to say? That listen, you know what? The only reason you choose me because my competitor doesn't have a leader. It doesn't say why choose me.
It is said of leader brands. It is said of leader brands that you don't keep heckling. Leader brand is on a pedestal. You don't
Correct.
stand in a marketplace and heckle people. Okay, little bit and out. But when you make 5 ads and this is what your story is, then the other big block of their advertising is talking about Modi ji and all the hard work he's doing. So there's a long animated ad of him, which is climbing steps non-stop. And along the steps, he finds people who are struggling and he's made some yojana for them, some benefit, something. And he keeps 10 years, he's climbing, and he's done so much good and he'll keep climbing. And the other platform they have is Modi ki guarantee and ab ki baar Modi Sarkar, ab ki baar 400 par. Modi Sarkar was last time, ab ki baar
Yes.
400 par. So talking about the insight in that, I don't know, the insight seems to be one of strength, muscle power, that we are big, we are strong, we will do 400 seats, we will come to power. But I don't know how much it's getting people at their heart. Those who love the BJP will love it. But elections are not about that. For example, I read somewhere that their strategy is to focus on what they call their 161 weak seats, okay, where they don't win. That is where they need to get people. Now, if you keep saying manufacturer's kind of statement, I am this, I am this, I am this, but are you getting to my heart, especially the ones who don't like me? What you're going to do for me, whatever. So it's a statement of muscle power and strength. I don't know how much it's doing for the heart. Is it enough to get that person in the weak seat to change and go out and vote? Because remember, in politics, it's that one day. Today, I forget to buy a soap, I can go tomorrow and get it. But in politics, the entire advertising work happens to nudge you out to go and vote. What happened in Tamil Nadu recently, the first phase? There was such a huge hue and cry and euphoria. I was hearing it live. That 72% turnout, unheard of, and oh my God, this is a vote for change and all that. But when the dust settled, it was 65%. So it was lower. 82, I think, percent was lower than last.
Yes.
So are they getting the consumer's heart? I don't know.
Jayshree, I want to ask you more basic question. One more, sorry, I'm interjecting. I wanted to
Please.
ask you a very basic question. Who is this advertising for? Because in this entire advertising, where is BJP? Because you have Modi ki guarantee, you have ab ki baar 400 par, you have Modi climbing the stairs. See, there is no BJP. So you remove Modi from the entire picture, and that's it. You have no idea. There is no big idea.
The strategy is him. He comes in 3-4 avatars to people. One is he comes as a leader that has taken India into the international world, where he has extremely good relationships with all parts. When he goes, he's like a rock star. The kind of reception he gets, the kind of deals that he's cracking and all that. The other one is like, He comes through as a statesman, as a almost like a head priest. If you see him in Ayodhya, or you see him when the new parliament building was launched, or like a do-gooder, whatever there may be about anyone being tainted, his image is very clean. So and people love him. Those who love him really love him. So that is the card they are playing.
So basically, you are giving chocolates to chocolate lover. That is what you are saying.
Yes.
You are not converting.
That is my
what
analysis.
that is your
my
analysis.
analysis.
Absolutely
Those who love you, they're getting very happy with you.
correct.
Those who
I
are in the
completely
middle,
agree to you.
yeah, those who are in the
Sorry.
middle or those who don't like you, I don't know whether their heart is going to feel anything after seeing this. This is my analysis.
Absolutely correct. And I completely agree to you. I completely agree to you. Jayshree, let's go to the next part. Let's go to Congress, and then I want to go to 2004, because this is going to be where we can connect a lot of things. Let's go to Congress ad. Let's have a look. This is a 33-second ad. So quickly, let's look at this Congress ad. Sorry, that was a mistake. My bad. I'm sorry.
हंस रहे हो? अगर यही लोग फिर से एक बार आ गए ना, बस घी के डिब्बे पे रोटियां लगा लगा कर खाओगे और अच्छे दिनों की आस में आंसू बहाओगे।
Jayshree, what's the insight here?
So this Haath Badlega Halat is again, it's a puncturing holes, which can't be a full campaign. And there are many subjects. This was about food. There's another one about Mengai. There's a lady who's making tea, and the tea is so flat, and her husband is sitting there and he's saying, "What tea you've given me?" And then she says, "Well, there's no money to buy proper tea." There's another guy who's talking about joblessness. There's so many. They have made 7-8 ads in this Haath Badlega Halat. Small, 23 seconds, 20 seconds. So timing wise, it's okay. Short and crisp. Again, it's talking to people who are disgruntled. Only one ad I've seen right now, 2 days ago, which is a positive ad, which says there's a young girl with a smiling face. She's running with a sewing machine in a lower middle class area, and the other girls are there and saying, "What is this? What is this?" And she's saying, "I've got a sewing machine." And then it cuts away to say that when Congress comes to power in June, they will give you money to buy, 1 lakh or something. So that is a positive thing, that when we come to power, these are the, there'll be employment for women and things. But that's only one ad I've seen. Everything else has been anger against the current dispensation. I haven't got a job, Mengai. It's the same muddas. Okay, nothing for women, unemployment, joblessness, and middle class people suffering. So it is Aam Aadmi 2.0 in a way, I feel. I don't know. You tell me. Do you feel it has that emotional connect?
No, it doesn't, and that's precisely what I wanted to ask you. My next question would have been that, you see, Aam Aadmi, there was a talking point. It spoke to people. People reacted to your campaign. I don't think people will react to this kind of negativity, would they?
I don't find any buzz, actually. I looked so much because I knew I was coming on your program. So obviously I was doing my research. And I said, let me see if people are analyzing it on YouTube, on social media. Is anyone vlogging about it? Hardly. So it's just because I think half the people are not seeing it. There are so many people who've not seen. I think urban Indian youth haven't seen it. Gen Z, for example, 19 million first-time voters are getting into this election, who are digital natives, who have lived their entire life on digital platforms. They get their news from there, their entertainment from there, and everything. They are excited about politics. 20% of them have said they won't marry or have a boyfriend who doesn't go to vote. I wonder how many ads are reaching them and what they are thinking of all this. I don't think millennials are seeing it too much. So I don't know who is seeing it, where it's running. It's definitely running on their own platforms, but where else, I don't know. So, but I'll give you one piece of data. I just read that 120 crore has been spent on Google alone between Jan and April, of which BJP spent 40 crore, 80,000 ads just on Google. I'm not talking about television, radio, etc. And another interesting data is that in all the elections, I think before this one, getting into a village or semi-urban places or, rural, the big medium was the wall paintings, painting around the village well, the shops, houses. There were people who did that, buying flags, badges. So I watched some material on this and I read up. All these guys, their jobs are over. 80% is over. No wall paintings. I mean, hardly 10, 20%. No one's buying flags, badges, none of that. Because even rural penetration of the internet is 442 million. So the phone is making all the change. But so influencers and all, they are using people like, your cookery show is big, I'll plug an ad there. Travel show is good, I'll plug an ad there. This guy gets a lot of people. Another thing that's happened in this election is a lot of these YouTubers with millions and millions of followers. For example, this Ranveer Alabadia, through MyGov, BJP had a number of their people interviewed by him. Lead up to this election, okay, like 1.5 hour interviews where you really get to know the politician. Otherwise, we don't know. And then on Bharat Jodo Yatra, there were a number of them who walked with Rahul Gandhi. And these are people with a lot of coverage. There was a girl who had a meal with him. Same one 2 weeks back has had a meal with Smriti Irani. So what they eat, where can they get things, it makes you more endeared. I watched a clip. Now, all this is advertising, okay? But advertising coming very differently at you. The Congress manifesto came out. And I saw Rahul Gandhi traveling in a car. There's a person interviewing him. And actually, it's so chill. She's telling him, Rahul, you can be a bit chill. So he says, oh, I'm being formal? Okay. So he says, okay, hi. I said, what? Let's read some comments on the manifesto. They're reading it. Then he says, okay, let me talk to this lady. Dial her. They dial her. And he says, I'm Rahul Gandhi. And she says, no, you're not. But all this is also coming out. So connectivity with people. So advertising as we knew it, that there'll be a 20-second spot on primetime news at 9 o'clock, is completely changed. Now that I'm saying it's not there, they are there, but
not the way it used to be.
There's a micro level of the advertising and there's a macro level and a micro level,
Let me ask you a question. You see, I remember reading in your book that you had focused on rural India.
Yes.
You had focused in 2004. It was very focused rural India. You segmented the audience and you focused there. And like you rightly said during the interview, you spoke about Village Well and you spoke about Jharokas and how you do a village campaign and all of that. Jayshree, I've spent a lot of time on rural campaigns. I looked after, I headed a rural communication agency in my past life. So I know what rural advertising is. You see, rural advertising and the advertising you guys did, it was so beautiful because there was an experience that the consumer or the voter in this case had with the brand, which is somehow I feel lacking. Now Sujit,
there was a clear-cut strategy.
Correct.
We began at the beginning that what is the problem? And that India Shining, which again was a great campaign, but very focused towards urban India, as we found out. Again, a manufacturer statement. Stock exchange is so high. We've got, forex reserves are fantastic. There's stirring of peace with the neighbor. Nuclear tests have happened. It was all I, me, myself. And the same campaign as Bharat Uday, when we went and did our research in semi-urban and rural India, no one had heard of it. And when we did research, and I got it on camera, of the people, we said, "Aapka life last 5 साल में कैसा है?" And they said, "एकदम बेकार है." सुने हो? Nahi. 99% people had not heard of it. So the messaging had not reached the consumer. This is exactly the point I'm making. That with such a proliferated audience, are they reaching these first-time advertisers? Are they reaching the millennials? I don't know. But with a focused regional strategy, 90% of our money was spent in regional media. Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Gurumukhi. Every ad used to get translated in 22 languages before it went out. It was such a mammoth job, I cannot tell you. The models were not models. They were real people. So if we were shooting a Dalit, it was a Dalit. If we were shooting a farmer in Kerala, it was a farmer in Kerala, not somebody taken from North India. Because you know what, Sujit? They all tie their turban in a different way. Every state in India ties their turban in a different way. So if I take a Jat farmer and I put that ad in Kerala, they're going to say, "Who's this guy? It's not for me." So we go down there, we shoot those people. We run, because we have no money, we run the whole campaign in black and white. It's stark, it's solid, and it gives the message. And people start relating to it, and they say, "This is me. I am that Dalit. I'm the farmer's wife whose husband committed suicide. I'm that youth who doesn't have a job. I'm one of those 43 million people at the employment exchange without a job." So you have to dig very deep to get data and then make your advertising. What I see this time is there's no central theme. Kuch ye bhi, kuch wo bhi, kuch ye bhi. So what is it totaling to?
And absolutely correct, because Jayshree, what you're saying is so correct, because that's the point I was trying to make. There is no consumer inside. Congress ka haath aam aadmi ke saath changed the social behavior. There were people who were sitting on the fence or who wouldn't have voted for Congress, who went out and voted for Congress. Because I remember the brief that was given to you was for 2009, because they themselves they were not very confident that they will win 2004. In fact, I remember on television, most of their leaders, when they were watching their own numbers, they couldn't believe their eyes that, it was them actually leading.
We were all so scared. We were just hoping that they would do better numbers than, 99. But the result, every pollster got it wrong. Till the night before, the exit polls were like going berserk. But, the consumer shows you a totally different picture. And that is what happened.
Correct. So what was the soul? What was the soul of that campaign, Jayshree, which I have not seen here? I'm for sure. This is what my opinion is. What was the soul of that campaign?
The soul of that campaign was that there is a whole unserved market which nobody is talking to. That consisted of 4 consumer groups, and you have to do a target audience setting. Who are you talking to? Then you got to get your positioning right. Positioning is at the heart of marketing. That goes wrong, everything goes wrong. So the unserved market, India Shining, the chattering classes in urban India were very excited with it. But there were 4 categories of people for who nothing had happened. One was the farmer, because loan rates and excise rates were high and they were committing suicides. There are a lot of them. Then women, 48 or 49% of the entire India, nothing really for them. Petty middle class investors had lost their lifetime savings in a couple of scams and things like that. And then the unemployed youth, 43 million at employment exchanges. Food was lying rotting in the FCI godowns. So there was an unserved market. Now, we said when we have to talk to them, you have to you have to fire them up and, make them think like, listen, don't accept the status quo. What has happened for me? What has happened? But don't leave it just as a negative campaign. Negative, 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 negative. Nobody likes. After some time, if someone's very negative, you go away from that person. So halfway through, after having said Aam Aadmi ko kya mila, through about 8-9 ads, which came in very quick succession, because time was very limited. We started in March and ended in May, so it was like a bullet. 2 months, 8-9 ads came. After which we went into the vision campaign, which is that if they come to power, that was my client, what will they do? So that they'll promise jobs, they'll promise, better things for farmers, they'll do things for women, all that. So of course it was a professional job. I'm not a Congress or a BJP like person or anything. It was a professional job which I did. But yes, I think it's one of India's biggest case studies. And I think 2004 was the time when political branding, came to India, in a significant way, with two really good campaigns pitted against each other.
Absolutely. I think 2004 was the epic year. And after that, I've never seen a campaign like that, either ways, from BJP or from Congress. And the current campaign is also quite saddening. My last question, Jayshree, I want to ask you.
There's a lot of fake news. There's a lot of misleading stuff going on. There are deep fakes. There's a whole second line of surrogate and shadow networks. There are people spending 3 crore, 5 crore under all kinds of handles which you've never heard of. So it's very complicated, and it'll keep being like this because everything has changed now, with so much being online.
Correct.
So one has to guard against all this also.
Absolutely. My last question to you, Jayshree, and this is slightly away from advertising, but it is on the subject all the same.
Yeah.
You see, has these political parties, have they started considering us idiots? What I mean by that is, listen, you know what, mocking ads and somebody brushing a dabba, somebody saying "Dula mil gaya" and all that. Do they think that we are idiots in a way? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, that dabba ad wasn't where I didn't get it actually. I was just wondering what they were doing. So, yeah, it's not very clear. What happens today? The consumer just ignores you. Next. Attention span is low. You're not getting my heart. You're not getting my mind. I'm off. So I think diehards may love some of the things that are being put out. But by and large, I would say it's a cold.
No, I ask you this question with relevance to an American ad, for instance, where the president or a candidate or whoever talks about what he or she wants to achieve, talks about what the plan is, talks about what the future is, talks about economy, talks about health, talks about education, talks about foreign policies, possibly because they respect their audience, they respect their voters. And here we are talking about Dula mil gaya, whatever, or that dabba. I mean, that was my question actually. I mean, are we that stupid that we don't deserve to be spoken to like adults?
Yeah, it's a rather.
No, it's okay. Jayshree, that's. Thank you so much for talking to me.
I'm sure they're trying their best. I don't think anyone sets out to say, "Let me do really bad work."
But so, would you do it? Would you do something of this sort? And if it would come to your table, would you ever release this kind of advertising?
No.
Correct. Correct. Thank you so much, Jayshree. Thank you so much for talking to me. As always, what a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me. It's been fun. And let's see what happens on June 3rd.
You bet. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Which advertising wins. or which number crunching wins. Anyway, you take care. Thank you so much and good night,
Thank
Jayshree.
you. Thank you.